and welcome to Easier Habits, where you do live strategy sessions every day to help solopreneurs, small business owners, and startup founders make progress in the daily grind of starting your business. The whole premise is that a lot of people misunderstand business as a formula and they're looking for the right information, but business is a marathon. Really what you want to do is acquire momentum by experience, and that experience will give you skill and judgment. So if you are an entrepreneur, go ahead and like, subscribe, share. We're trying to build a community here where we can have people checking in live every morning to help get them momentum for their day, as well as some helpful ideas to apply in business. Now, normally, I am here with my wife, Meg, who is a communication coach and helps non-English speakers tell their story to a global audience in a business context. And she is actually out for an expo right now. I am Alec from Easier Habits, and I am a personal productivity and resilience consultant for entrepreneurs. That means I help them build in the routines and habits that make all the information they're taking in successful. You can repeat a course or take 100 courses. Chances are they won't transform your business unless you have the right routines and habits in place. That's what I help people with. So, with no further ado, we'll do our communication tip. Again, normally this is something done by Meg, but I will add in my 2 cents, which is get comfortable with silence. I know I'm over-dramatizing that, but this is really important, especially for someone like me who speaks super fast. If you aren't having pauses for silence in your conversations, that means that there is a cap on the profundity or the meaning of your conversations. That means you're either not saying something interesting enough or world-changing enough or life-changing enough to actually require a second or two of processing time in your listener. Or you're not allowing them that time to process by moving on. Means that your questions don't actually require any real thought if someone can answer them immediately. And so if you really want to have communications where you are learning and changing on a very fundamental level, you will need pauses and silence. Get comfortable with silence just on your own, perhaps by meditating, having some unplugged time where you can just be yourself, either sitting or on a walk, wandering. And then you can also take that to your conversations, especially if you know you're going to ask a difficult question or if you're giving a talk and you're going to make a point. Practice pausing and letting people digest the information. So, today I did want to share with you, and let me actually get this up on the computer, some of the learnings that I have been doing about running YouTube ads. Now, why YouTube ads? I think there's a few reasons why YouTube ads have been especially attractive to me. One of them is Google ads and Facebook ads just keep getting more expensive. So regardless of what value there is on Google ads or Facebook ads, as they get crammed with more ads, I think the value does decline, but also the expense rises. So like the value per per what you get per dollar is less, right? At the same time, Google ads are more targeted. So from what I understand, you can target ads on particular videos, which is really powerful, right? On Facebook, you can't target ads on particular people's posts or right next to particular people's posts per se. In Google, you probably, if a website has Google ads on it, which very many don't, right? Like that feels kind of spammy. Like most professional websites do not have Google ads on it. So you can't target a particular website, let alone a particular post. Like you have to go on a search, and it still can be helpful. You still can target people with a search. Particularly if people are typing in a search with intent to buy, and that's something to like, information intent versus intent to buy is something to look up if you're interested in Google Ads, right? That can still be helpful, but it's still not as targeted as attaching your ad to a particular video, right? So that's really powerful. The other thing that I think is powerful about YouTube ads is the fact that there's a barrier to entry. And not only is there a barrier to entry, it's largely a psychological barrier and not a practical barrier. So, right, if you aren't familiar with like basic video, filming yourself and editing that video, then you might think, I need to get a lot of fancy equipment. I need to do this really well, especially if you look in the business niche. However, and this is especially true of like, people who sell business courses, a lot of those are very casual, right? I think there was one video that was slightly outside of the business niche. It was more of a mental health retreat that was like high quality. It had like a super nice version, like a super nicely filmed and lighted picture of like two people walking through cherry blossoms, and because they were trying to evoke a spa. Now, I don't think this was actually a spa. I think this is also just an online course, but it was an online course for like mental health and being in charge of your life versus a business. And so because they wanted to evoke the idea like this is like going to a spa, they really put a lot of money into the visuals of that, and the tone and everything was different. I'll dive deeper into this later. But when I looked at all the business ones, there was some guy standing in front of a park, and he had like a one of those like earbud thingies in his ear. I'm not sure why that was even necessary. Maybe it was a mic. It was probably like some kind of awkward mic. And rather than even buying one of those, I should remember the term, but it's escaping me at the moment. But even buying one of those little mics that clips onto your shirt that would look somewhat professional. No, it was like some earbud, like talk while you're on, like, talk on the phone while you're jogging sort of thing. Like, it was very casual. And then other people just did that in their home office. One person did it, and it was a very nice big painting. It probably was an expensive painting, abstract with some circles on it or whatnot. So like, it looked like it could have been in a nice house, but I can't tell because it was just him at a table in front of a painting, nothing special. So the idea that you need, like, if I were to do a video here, I would remove a little bit of that clutter right there. I probably should do that before my videos, but if I'm gonna do an ad like the pirate candy bowl. There's some things I might remove from this, but like I don't need a different place to do an ad. And so like the barrier is not nearly as high as you think if you're comfortable filming yourself and doing some basic video editing. Even this lighting that I have, I think in Streamlabs, it turns out a little reddish, but when I'm not streaming, actually the camera is decent, and so I wouldn't need to switch out the cameras. So anyway, so there's this perceived barrier that means there's not as many people advertising, or that, people who do advertise on there seem more professional, more legit than, somebody who threw together some clip art or whatever and some text for Facebook ad, or not clip art, but stock photo. Yeah. Someone who threw together, like anyone can throw together a stock photo and ad, or like even easier in Google Ads, like a headline and a couple pieces. Now, writing effective copy is a skill, but like I'm just saying, there isn't a lot of barrier to entry. So there's a lot of noise and people drawing up the cost of the ads who aren't particularly skilled. Whereas with video, there is kind of like, as long as you have some basic video skills, you could do a video ad. So there's a lot of reasons why I think YouTube is an area that can be very effective, and have heard from people that they get a lot of ROI out of these programs. I've watched and like ads and clicked through and seen as like successful programs launch using video YouTube ads. So it is a powerful way to go. It's especially a powerful way to go if you are in some sort of service-based industry or industry where people are going to want to get to know you because they're going to be working with you. So like coaching would be one of those for me or for Meg, right? What you're not going to get in like a two-line snippet describing your product in a Google ad or your service in a Google ad, you're going to get a lot more of in a 90-second video. So anyway, lots of reasons why Google Ads is a good way to go. And so what I did, since I realized like this was really probably the easiest way to acquire and scale traffic, is I went to the source rather than just getting a course. There are courses on like running Google Ads and different different ads, and I could check out a video about them, but I decided to go straight to the course, and I just refreshed business videos until I got ads. And then I would, after each sentence, I would pause the ad and write down what that ad said and kind of take notes about like the purpose, the rhetorical purpose of why they're using each sentence, what each sentence does. So I would get a sense of what the flow of an ad is. So for example, there's income training from Remote Closing Academy. So, and this is paraphrased because I'm typing quick and then like pausing the video, typing furiously, unpausing the video and going, sentence by sentence or a couple sentences by sentences. It says, do not start a business in 2022 or 2023. Here's why. So that is the hook, and that hook is relying on introducing a mystery and implying a perspective shift. So I talked about this, I've been talking about this, that your core message that you're talking to your audience really should be a perspective shift, because that signals transformation a whole lot better than just information. And the perspective shift he's kind of implying there is, if I want to be successful and independent, I'll start my own business. And he's saying that's not the way to be independent and successful. So there's an implication, though, although he's not straight out saying that. Now, his second sentence is kind of a non sequitur. It's not how I would normally write things. It says, here's weekly commission checks I got by doing something without having to run ads, using a technique called remote closing. This is really impact. It's kind of a social, he shows his screen and it's kind of a social proof because it worked for him. And so that is a benefit. I'm getting checks. It's not fully answering the mystery question. He's kind of leaving the suspense there. And that's the part where it's like, I probably wouldn't naturally do that in communication. If I said, don't start a business, here's why, I would follow that up normally with, you can make a lot more money doing remote closing where you don't have to start a business and don't have to do X, Y, Z. He doesn't do that. He has mystery, implies a perspective shift, starts to show benefits and proof that he has something that works before he's even really told you what it is. And this actually kind of annoys me sometimes, depending on how it's done, but yeah, I think it's probably effective. Again, you're trying to get people to watch your ad. He says, here are other people that it's worked for. So there's some clip of some video testimonials, more social proof. So I've got something, it really works. It's called remote closing, but I haven't told you anything about it yet. All right. If you're interested in a proven path on how to get to 6 figures through remote closing, I'm holding a live class today. Click the button below. All right, so he kind of follows that up. 6 figures, that's the culmination of like all of this benefit stuff. You can get to 6 figures using remote closing. And then he has the CTA. I'm holding a live class, click today. Almost guaranteed that is not a live class, that's a recorded webinar. And so that piece, that live, I'm like, oh, that's a little slimy. Invite people to your webinar if it's not actually live. The chances that someone is running a live class with automated ads is low, right? You wouldn't be running those ads randomly for whenever someone watched a video and then, to schedule a live class, right? When he doesn't know what today is, right? That video is running every day, presumably. So anyway, sorry, pet peeve. I do try and be honest in my advertising, and sometimes people push that a little bit. He would probably argue, I'm imagining, that when I filmed it, it was live. Okay. That doesn't mean it's actually live. That you are holding a live class today. So anyway, there's a call to action, and it's a call to action to a lead magnet, like a free live class. And we'll circle back to that, but pretty much every ad is inviting you to take action on something free. That's a big signal when every single ad you see does that, right? So after the CTA, he goes, why? What are the benefits? Remote closing will be a $300-something billion industry or something like that. I'll talk about why it's the easiest way to get started if you're a beginner. Get started in 7 days, making money in as little as 30 days. Safest way to make money online, doesn't require tech skills, simpler than other business models. Focus on one skill, solving one problem for one client. 100% guaranteed to get results if you take action. So the benefits, right? He was listing out benefits. Some of them were hinted at why it's the easiest way to get started. Like, he's not even actually telling you the specific benefit, although he implies one of them later on will be like, it's not required tech skills, right? But it's interesting that like some of the benefits he's not spelling out, he's implying. I will click this button and I will tell you why you will get this, how you will get this benefit of this is the easiest way to get started. So that's all benefits that he's stacking after the initial call to action. So really the first part of this is create a mystery, show a benefit, it can get checks, make that, then show social proof, make that benefit like a little bit clearer in terms of 6 figures, call to action for a free lead magnet. Now, I'll guarantee you to access that webinar, I don't think I clicked on this particular one. You would have to input your email, and so all of a sudden you're on an email list. There would be some kind of upsell, etc. And then, so that's for people who are impulse buyers. Really, what he's done right there is like imply like, hey, if you want money, you can get 6 figures doing this. Here's a free webinar. And so for people who make very quick decisions, impulse buy, you want that early CTA. But there's a whole other section of people who are like, I actually kind of want to know what I'm getting into. And so he lists all the benefits, which starts to give you an idea of like remote closing. Is this like selling? It doesn't require tech skills. So maybe you basically work as like a commission salesperson for a company that already has a product, one skill, solving one problem for one client. So, and doing it remotely. So like that sounds like what he's doing. He doesn't actually spell it out, which kind of drives me nuts. But you get a better idea for people who need more information. And then again, the people who need more information are probably going to be more risk averse. So that's when he says 100% guaranteed if you take action. That is a good thing to have. You should have some guarantee. A lot of them are gated behind some kind of action. You gotta watch out in ads, actually, because I've taken a course with 100% guarantee that they'll give you now if you don't see results but you take action, you'll get all your money back. But like they require that one of your actions be that you check that you have a client. And so I'm like, if you don't ever get a client, you can never check that you've done all the things in the course. So they don't have to give you your money back for not getting clients. So anyway, there are people who do that scummy. Don't do that. But some kind of guarantee for people, like later on, for people who are risk averse, who are with you because they're interested in the promise, but they're not convinced, a guarantee does help people feel more safe. And then he ends with, so click the link below. I'll see you on the other side. So that's a repeated call to action. Right? So you want to end with a call to action too for these later, more information-driven buyers. And he's kind of, I guess, also with I'll see you on the other side, projecting confidence, creating a parasocial relationship with the implication that this is live, so he's actually going to see you, right? So it was, and then I just noted that was 1 minute, 30 seconds in a home office, right? So I kind of wanted to get the how long should I do my ad for overall, like what is the context as well as the blow by blow. So I'm not going to do that with the other ads. I did about like 5 of them. Four of them. Okay, 3 of them were in the business area. One of the most compelling findings, right, is what does everybody do? And really, what everybody does, the biggest thing is the free lead magnet. Now, that is very often like a free webinar, like basically linking you to a recorded sales video, a webinar with a chat sometimes on the side, or really just another like talking head video. The link to that could be a free ebook is another one. All of these things, before you can see it, capture your email address. So now they can talk to you. Some of them capture your phone. And then most of them, or pretty much all of them, right, after you finish, you sign up for the ebook or you finish the webinar or you're getting towards the end of the webinar, they will have a call to action for a paid course, for one-to-one coaching, etc. Or even a lot of them will give you another freebie, but you have to give your phone, and then basically what you get is someone calling you, like multiple calls from the same company with like sales for different products. Hey, we have a conference coming up. Hey, we have the special one-on-one package. So that's how it works. I think for an entrepreneur, especially who's offering one thing, it can be much simpler, right? And so you probably want a lead magnet of some kind. If you're already making videos, right, you probably want a more in-depth video. This video, I mean, some of them are like an hour long. I'm like listening at 2 times speed, trying to be like, all right, what's going on here? Especially if it's a webinar, right, and that they're advertising. But others could be like 10 to 15 minutes, like just an informational presentation. And then, like I said, you could also throw together resources in a PDF. And I'll probably, to be honest, try both. I'm going to lean into video just because I like it a little bit more. And especially what I want to happen as a result of this is people coming to me being comfortable with me. So probably my progression would be something like YouTube ad, informational presentation, click through to schedule an appointment, and then I'll have a smaller like 3rd video there, which will just be walking people through like what happens in an appointment and in coaching, and helping. At this point, I want to make sure if people are going to be setting appointments, right? I don't want to fill up appointments with people who aren't serious, so I might be doing some kind of qualifying in the video, saying like, here's who coaching is a good fit for, here's who coaching isn't a good fit for, right? Because while I want to encourage people to be coaching, not everyone is a good fit, and I could save their time, I could save my time if there's some signals that it's really not going to be a good fit. Like, for instance, if they don't have a specific goal in mind, or they're not focused, their goals aren't career focused. I'm not like a general life coach. I am focused on entrepreneurship, building a company, etc. So while I work with people holistically, if like what they want primarily is to improve their relationships, there's probably a coach more specifically geared towards what they're doing. So I can kind of have a 3rd video that qualifies them so that the people who are signing up for scheduling know what they're getting into and have a very good sense of, are they a good fit? So that's like the structure of it. That was the biggest thing. Nobody starts with a CTA. Almost everybody starts with kind of a mystery hook. Now the hooks, like, I guess I will share these from the independently. What's the best kept secret about building a 6-figure income? Right? Very similar. This is about making money, right? That's the call to action. Benefit, mystery is kind of what they're leaning on. It's not a perspective shift. It's this one is purely a mystery because they're not telling you what that. And actually for this one, it's kind of extreme because they say, I'll answer that in 30 seconds. And then they go on and try and build credibility. And actually this is kind of similar to the first one where like they're leaning on mystery and anticipation. They give you some kind of hook. So like, all right, I'll bite. I'm curious about what the best kept secret of this like 6-figure income is. So the third business one was, what if I told you I built 3x dollar valuation companies without working over 5 hours a day? So that's an implicit benefit. Like, he's actually talking about his own life, but the implicit benefit is like, this guy knows how to teach you to make money without working crazy hours. That's cool. But that is very much a perspective shift. It's also a mystery. How did he do it? So, like, basically your opening line is nothing about your product. You might imply that there's a product, there's an answer. Like, your product is mostly the solution to the question that you're bringing up. But you're bringing up a benefit and a mystery pretty much first thing. All right? Then, even, again, before the CTA, every single one of these is building credibility. So some of them saying, I am a New York Times bestselling author, featured on X, ran 3 X dollar companies at the same time on a 20-hour work week is this one. Showing videos of people who have been successful at this. And then pretty much after this, so like the next step is that they have this ETA. So like, here's a benefit in the mystery. I know you're not gonna, like, here's all the social proof for like why this benefit can be achieved. If you want to find out more, click the button. And then they give you a little bit more after that, a little bit more information and another call to action, click the button, etc. So like that formula is like pretty much what people are doing again and again and again. And all of these are pretty casual videos, again, the business ones. Now, an interesting thing is the outlier, right? When I looked at the one that is not very business focused, it was much more aspirational. I think all of the business people, what they're doing is trying to convince you that you could run this business. So they actually are getting value from having like a low budget, like low production quality, right? And so that's an interesting thing. If I am selling my coaching services, but not like a get rich quick scheme, it'll be interesting to see how well that pans out for me. Maybe it's hard to tell from these whether it would be better for me to go aspirational, because I'm not telling them like, you too could be a X figure coach, right? I'm not selling a specific dollar amount service. And I have some things where I help you find $10,000 additional dollars in your business, or $10,000 of revenue in your business, or whatever, or 20,000. I could probably go higher. 10,000 is extremely conservative, but anyway, like, I could do a video like that and try that out. And if so, again, like, being casual, probably good, but the pure coaching, but like not business related product was very aspirational and very different. They said, if you don't have a life vision, you are being manipulated. So that's a hook that is a perspective shift. Like, this thing is happening to you. It's a little bit of mystery. How am I being manipulated? And they develop that theme. You need to know who you are, what you represent, who you choose to be, so that you can rocket towards your vision in life. If you're not doing that, you're just you're taking direction from social media, essentially, is something like what they said. And they talk about their product, how they have 12 categories, and they ask themselves the same 4 questions, which I didn't all catch, but like, what do I want? What do I believe? What am I going to do about it? And they said, these 4 things will change your life. Or those 4 questions, asking those 4 questions, because it'll give you additional clarity. And like, actually their value proposition is pretty familiar from the coaching that I do. Like, one of the big things coaching helps you do is that it helps you get clarity, and not just by like journaling answers to questions yourself, right? Which is probably selling an online course where you're like talking to yourself, right? Journaling is better than nothing, but actually talking to another individual who's asking questions, who can paraphrase what you're saying and kind of summarize it in a way that maybe you wouldn't have thought of before, etc. That is another level. But that same general benefit They talk about creating a life vision to create your ultimate life. We go deep, push your consciousness, broaden your awareness. Very like new agey terms. So like clearly a different crowd than the people who just want to hear about like, you know, the company valuation size or like the check size that they're getting. Like very different audiences. And again, this is like the know your avatar stuff. That's why it's kind of instructive to look at ads in a slightly different context. And they talk about, I am the decision maker at the center of my own consciousness. I can shape my life and take it where I want to go. That's kind of like, I think the culmination of like, that's the message. That's the aspirational thing they want. Oh, I'm running out of battery, so I better finish this up. So, and they only have a CTA right at the end, and it's just text. They don't even like call out, like click the button below. Thought that was interesting. That might be an anti-pattern. Like from what I know about internet, like more calls to action, click the button to get blah, 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 the better. Who knows? And that's some of the things you'll find. Like maybe not all of the ads you see are successful ads, but you will still learn a lot. And my business tip of the day before my battery runs out, I have a backup if we need to, but the business tip of the day before the battery runs out is you could go to a course to learn this type of stuff or like find someone's article. But when you can, go to the source, like study your competition's web pages, study their email, their emails, study their ads, right? There's a lot that you're going to learn from going directly to the source. So even though I tried to give you my findings of like why I believe YouTube ads are important and what I think they're doing, you're going to learn a lot about that I can't even articulate based on my notes, right? You're gonna learn about visually, like where are people standing? What are the production qualities? What is the tone of their voice? How are they talking? You know, how do they project confidence? That's a whole nother thing. I could like revisit those videos and just practice talking authoritatively like these people. And so a lot of times we limit ourselves to like low information sources, like summaries of things, somebody else's summaries of this is what you should do, this is the quick step. But a lot of times when you want to master a skill, it helps to immerse yourself in the full experience. All right, so I think we've gone dark a little bit. Let me... All right. Boop. So... this is my telephone. This is my telephone game. So I have another web camera that's up. So sorry for that abrupt transition. I can hide that distracting. Oh, hide that distracting. Where's the guest logo? All right. So yeah, anyway, that is the tip, is like go to the source, do some like immerse yourself in some direct research. Listicles and videos like this are a great starting point. They'll give you things to think about or things to look for, but you should do your own research. That is part of developing judgment in entrepreneurship, right? The two things you want out of your practice, and practice is what's going to transform your business ultimately more than any course or information. The two things you want are skill, which comes from doing it yourself, and judgment. And judgment you can start to get by looking at other people's work, right? You can see like, oh, that's something I made a note of in these ads, like which part, like what was I thinking during the ad and which parts felt especially persuasive. So in one particular ad, I noticed like all of his shots, like he had a speaker shot but without a background, and so it looked like he was speaking. Totally couldn't tell whether that was completely staged or whether he was actually at a speaker event. And so like I was super suspicious of this person. But then, you know, they showed the video testimonials of like people addressing them with their first name and showing their checks. And I'm like, yeah, you could pay people to do that and write them checks, but like that is more complicated. And so like that's less likely to be faked. And so I kind of put these, you know, I started to point out like, when did I feel more or less sold in the ads, right? That judgment of like what is a good quality ad can come from immersing yourself in examples. And so go straight to the source, immerse yourself in the examples, develop that sort of judgment, and then do a whole lot of practice. And that is the business tip of the day. Go straight to the source to learn. Don't rely only on tip videos and articles. So tomorrow, I think it will likely be a follow-up toward any insights from building. I think I'm gonna look at what options I have for landing pages, and maybe I'll just share that, like just technically, like how should you build a landing page? What should you use for like the video and to the call to action and capturing people's information? So I'm gonna do some research on options for those today and hopefully start setting something up. All right, well, thank you for joining. Like, subscribe, share, please. We're building a community of entrepreneurs that can support each other, so I really appreciate your participation. I've seen some people sharing positive comments on LinkedIn, which is fabulous. Love to get some people signing in. We go live at 8 a.m. Central Time. That is 6 a.m. on the Pacific Coast, which is a little early. It's 9 a.m. on in Eastern Time, but we wanted to pick a time that could let entrepreneurs start their day with some inspiration, feeling like they're working along with other entrepreneurs, that they're not so isolated, and we're trying to build that community. So if you are able to attend at 6, 7, 8, or 9 in the morning, or I guess another time if you're outside the US, then we'd love to see you. We haven't yet gotten questions. I think we got some spam in one video, but if we haven't yet gotten questions, I'd love to be able to eventually do a segment at the end of these videos where we can answer some of your questions. So